Welcome everyone to the Sponsor Showcase. I hope you've really been enjoying the conference so far. It's been amazing. And now we'd like to focus on our Day 2 sponsors. ILSR, Cascadia, SureClose, SCS, R3, Strategic Materials and Ripple Glass, Recyclist, HF&H, Race to Zero Waste, Green Waste, and Green Education US. And please join us this afternoon at 4 p.m. Pacific for our happy hour with partners and sponsors. We'll get to have some casual downtime and get to know each other and reconnect. First, let me introduce you to R3 Consulting Group. Since 2002, R3 has been serving communities by providing unbiased expert analysis that sustainably advances environmental policy, finance, and operations. Their team helps their clients achieve regulatory compliance, meet climate action goals, and deliver exceptional solid waste services. And now let's hear from Strategic Materials and their partner, Ripple Glass.
Can you really make a difference by recycling glass? The answer is easy, yes. There are so many benefits to recycling glass. First, it's important to remember that glass is 100% recyclable, so it can be recycled over and over again without loss in quality or purity. So throwing away glass is just throwing away a valuable resource. Since glass melts at a lower temperature than raw materials, using recycled glass to make new glass uses 30% less energy. Recycled glass can be used for new glass products like the beer bottles at Boulevard Brewing Company, or energy-efficient insulation for your home. And using recycled glass cleans up our air. Every ton of recycled glass used means that we reduce carbon dioxide emissions by 600 pounds. So be the difference to help make a brighter, cleaner future. Let recycling your glass be the act that makes a ripple. Every bottle counts.
Great. Now I'd like to tell you about Cascadia Consulting Group. Cascadia is a woman-owned environmental consulting firm founded in 1993, based in Seattle, Washington, and Oakland, California. Cascadia began as a recycling and materials management consulting firm providing research, planning, evaluation, and program implementation services to public and private sector clients. Over the past 27 years, Cascadia has expanded its expertise to fill a growing demand for integrated resource conservation services that address upstream and downstream materials management needs, as well as energy use, water conservation, stormwater pollution prevention, low-impact development, sewer infrastructure protection, and climate change. Okay, now we're going to hear a testimonial about SureClose compost pails.
Hey, it's Tyler of CrazyAboutCompost.com, and today I wanted to share with you the SureClose kitchen scrap collector. And you may be thinking, what's the big deal? It's just a container. Well, you're right, it is just a container, but the reality is, as I was thinking about this before, is that composting really comes down to just two things. One, you need a working compost pile, and two, you need a container to transport all of your food scraps from your kitchen out to your compost pile. So that's where this comes in. And I've tried a number of different products out there on the market, and at the end of the day I have found that this was by far the coolest one. So here's why. Well, it's a 2-gallon or 7-liter capacity, and that's enough for me that I could fill this up for a good week before having to go out to the compost pile to empty it. It's made of high-density polyethylene plastic, which is what makes up water bottles. It fits nicely under the sink, or it could also be on your countertop. I put this on my countertop next to my juicer, so it's right there for me when I empty out all that stuff. And the wide opening on it is nice and useful, and it's also angled, which makes it easy to dump stuff into, as well as emptying it into your pile. And now for the lid. The lid stays open at a 90-degree angle. It's easily removable. And I like to take mine off before I dump this into the pile, actually. But the lid is what makes this thing really interesting, because if you look at most of the other models that are out there and available, the holes that are in the lids of those things are really large, up to the size of even a penny I've seen on some of them. And the problem with that is that all your fruit flies and bugs and stuff like that can all get in there. So with this, these holes are actually small enough that pests and fruit flies and stuff can't manage to get into the container, but yet all the contents that you're emptying into here are able to dry out. And if you think of it, your food is up to 70% water. So to be able to put stuff in this every day, and every day it dries out a certain amount, is really handy. And it also keeps the material from fermenting. And now, up until recently, I was using a 1-gallon glass olive jar, which is probably the worst choice for putting my food scraps in. I'm surprised I didn't drop it and break it. But the problem with that was that every time when I opened it, the smell was horrendous. And so I avoid that completely with this because of the fact that the holes are able to let the material dry out. So that's definitely the coolest part about the container, is just the fact that the design is so nice. And there's a nice groove that goes around the whole container, and this is what allows it to seal nice and shut. And speaking of which, I can just bounce this around. As you can see, it's still shut. So that's definitely the coolest part about the container, is just the fact that it's just built so nice. And as I said before, the objective of composting really is just 4 things. And it's just filling up your container in your kitchen, carrying it out to your compost pile, emptying it, and then cleaning the container. So for that process, I highly recommend checking out the Shore Clothes. And if you have any questions for me, please let me know. I know I was fast with this, but yeah, this is a really exciting product, and I highly recommend checking it out, as it will make things easier for you. I've definitely seen it in a number of different places. Like when I was out in San Francisco not too long ago, I saw that everyone had these for their curbside compost collection. And I hope that more places will end up getting this, because I really do find this to be handy, and it makes the process easier for people. Because let's face it, if composting is at all difficult, no one's going to do it. And we want everyone to compost. I know I do. So again, thanks for watching. Appreciate it. Hit the like button, leave a comment, and I'll talk to you soon. Take care.
Thanks, Tyler. And now let me introduce you to SCS engineers. SCS's primary practice, representing the majority of their experience and diversification, is waste management. This includes environmental and resource economics, monitoring and assessment, and policy and management. SCS Engineers is proud to be one of the nation's top environmental consulting and construction firms, delivering sustainable solutions that balance today's financial, environmental, and bureaucratic challenges. Now let's hear from Race to Zero Waste.
Race to Zero Waste is an environmental nonprofit organization, and our motto is sustainability in action. We're at events, and we also do public outreach education, as well as municipal sorting. So at our zero waste stations, we ask people to come over and give us their trash. As people take their items, we show them we are COVID-19 compliant, so we have them put their items in either compost, recycling, or landfill, depending on what it is. Public outreach is just really a part of that sustainability and action. Without that piece, it's hard to reach people if they're not there. So we go to where people are and where trash is being accumulated, and just have people stop, think, and sort.
This one's actually number 6. So this is recycling.
Okay, fabulous. Good. Are these recycling nowadays? Oh my God, no, I don't want to.
Yes, actually, what any kind of song
We
was
really believe that we can make zero waste accessible because there's a lot of misinformation around what is zero waste. Zero waste isn't just putting your landfill trash in a jar. It's really seeing what you can do in your life to reduce the waste that you leave behind.
And now let's hear from Recyclist.
Do you work in solid waste and recycling and struggle with educating your communities on how to sort and recycle properly? Recycling methods are constantly evolving with new laws and technology. It can be hard to keep up, especially if you have a small team or a tight budget. Updating long bulleted lists and links to PDFs on your website can be stressful and time-consuming. Plus, having different versions of the same information floating around will ultimately confuse residents, leading to an increased call volume. Luckily, Recyclist has created a solution. We created the Green Guide, an affordable, turnkey, SEO and mobile-friendly guide that goes beyond just sorting instructions. We also provide tips on alternative ways to recycle, reduce, and reuse for over 400 items and nearly 3,000 synonyms to capture what your community is searching for. You can also embed the Green Guide onto your existing website to give a seamless, educationally immersive experience to your community. Recyclist Green Guide can also be configured to your local instructions with our easy-to-use, streamlined admin interface. In addition to finding tools for editing and sharing your Green Guide, you can also find an analytics dashboard that displays helpful data points such as your top 10 most searched guide items, top devices and channels used to access your guide, as well as the number of new and returning users. A built-in support form, as well as access to our handy knowledge base articles, are also there for you when you need help. Our community outreach strategy experts are continuously improving and adding updated educational content, so you don't have to. If you're a municipality or organization that provides disposal and sorting instructions, the Green Guide is made for you to make your work easier and keep your community informed. Enhance your disposal and recycling outreach abilities and support your zero waste goals. Prevent contamination, reduce your call volume, and inspire your community to reduce, reuse, and recycle. Sign up for a free 30-day trial of the Recyclist Green Guide today.
Now let me introduce you to HF&H Consultants. HF&H's primary purpose is to provide environmentally responsible economic, financial, strategic planning, and management consulting services to local governments throughout Western United States. HF&H's reputation is well established, having performed more than 1,900 engagements for nearly 400 clients since founding in 1989. HF&H's credentialed accountants, economists, engineers, public policy experts, and management consultants provide clients with the highest level of professional services. Now let's hear from Green Education US.
Are you interested in a career that combines your passion for sustainability with the desire to lead solutions-oriented projects? Do you enjoy working on teams that leverage government, business, and citizen action towards climate change-defying programs? Do you want to play a part in building the circular economy? If you want to show that you are in the know, become a certified sustainable resource management professional through greeneducation.us. At greeneducation.us, we make it easy for zero waste and recycling professionals to learn from industry leaders in a zero waste online environment. The CSRMP peer-developed through a nationwide process involving hundreds of practitioners and experts under the guidance of the National Recycling Coalition National Standards Board. Completion earns you 3 continuing education units from San Jose State University. In just 1 semester of study, you will engage in 30 hours of active online learning, interact with course instructors, network with students, alumni, and professionals in the field, gain access to dozens of well-curated resources to explore topics in depth, pass the CSRMP exam. The CSRMP covers the 26 standard learning objectives meeting the national standard. You'll learn why and how sustainable resource management is key to addressing climate disruption. You'll discover how to use policy and programs to change individual and institutional behavior. You'll end the program with key insights and new career opportunities within the growing circular economy. Contact us at info@greeneducation.us to set up a time to discuss if the CSRMP is the right next move for you.
And let me introduce you to the Institute for Local Self-Reliance.
When we start our day, we may not realize how each thing we do is part of the larger economy. We rarely think about where our dollars end up, but where they go has a big impact. Each year, more of our money goes to bigger and bigger businesses with growing economic and political power. These mega corporations bend the rules to benefit themselves at the expense of our communities. One organization is fighting back. The Institute for Local Self-Reliance works to rewrite the rules and to give communities the power to choose a different future. Across several vital economic sectors, we help break the corporate stranglehold that extracts wealth from our local economies and undermines our democracy. We advocate for community banks and credit unions that make productive loans to grow local business and community wealth. They thrive only when their community does too. Together, we fight the biggest banks that gamble with our money and ignore our needs. We champion locally owned businesses that create good jobs, healthy neighborhoods, and keep dollars in the community. Together, we fight giants like Walmart and Amazon that use their size to crush competition. We empower households and communities to take charge by producing their own energy from the wind and sun. Together, we fight utility companies that keep investing in big, dirty power plants that use last century's technologies. We champion reuse, recycling, and composting. We enable communities to shift from waste to wealth, creating local manufacturing, rich and resilient soils, and a healthier climate. Together, we fight the big corporations that kill jobs and profit from burning or burying valuable materials. We inspire hundreds of communities to build their own internet networks. These lightning-fast networks lower prices, improve customer service, and supercharge innovation. Together, we fight large cable and telephone monopolies that deliver awful service at skyrocketing prices. Mega corporations have their own plans for extracting our communities' wealth. The Institute for Local Self-Reliance helps communities use their authority to choose their own path. Reclaiming control won't automatically solve our problems, but it can allow us to build a more resilient and sustainable economy that creates opportunity for all.
And now we will enjoy a facility tour from Green Waste.
You're probably here to find out what happens to recyclables after you set them out for collection. Well, let me tell you, you came to the right place. Welcome to the Green Waste Recovery Material Recovery Facility. Today, we'll go over what it is we do here at the Material Recovery Facility, or MRF for short. We'll be looking at the recyclables MRF, which is just one of the 3 processing facilities here at Green Waste. We also have a garbage MRF and a yard waste MRF, but we'll save those for our next tour. The recyclables MRF is currently processing about 1,000 tons of single-stream recyclables every day and recovers over 95% of those recyclables. The process starts here at the scale. Trucks are weighed in once they arrive and again after they are emptied. The difference is the number of recyclables that are delivered to us to be sorted and processed. Recyclables are brought in by collection trucks with material from both homes and businesses. Sorters will take the first look at the material while it is still on the tip floor. They'll pull out any large recoverable items and contaminants that can later get caught in the machines. Using bucket loaders, the material is fed into the metering bin, where it is then spread onto the conveyor belt to begin its journey through the MRF. Once on the conveyor belt, the first stop is the pre-sort stations, where sorters remove contaminants, large items, film plastic, bag shredded paper, and rigid plastic before the material goes through any of the machines. During this initial pre-sort process, unopened bags are also removed and tossed down a chute where a bag breaker mechanically opens the bags and a conveyor belt reintroduces the material to that same pre-sort line. Following the pre-sort stations, the OCC disc screen is used to separate cardboard from the recycling stream. OCC stands for Old Corrugated Containers. The OCC screen uses a series of rotating discs designed to sort the material by allowing paper and other objects to fall through the disc while the pieces of cardboard float over the top and onto a conveyor belt that leads to a quality control sort station before going into a bunker for later baling. Directly under the OCC screen, glass falls onto debris roll screens, separating glass from the rest of the material and moving it into a glass cleanup system before it is hauled away to be further processed at a glass processing facility. The polishing screens, like the OCC screen, have a series of rotating discs that are set to separate the different types of material. These discs can be adjusted as needed. Currently, there are 3 polishing screens. 2 screens are set to separate newsprint, while the other is set to separate mixed paper. The newsprint or mixed paper floats over the top and onto conveyor belts, while the plastic and metal containers fall back. After each screen is a quality control station where sorters remove any film plastic or contaminants. Having vacuums directly over the post-sort stations helps in remove film plastic more efficiently from the rest of the recyclables. The plastic and metal containers, after falling back, continue onto the electromagnetic separator, where a large magnetic conveyor belt attracts ferrous metals. As the conveyor belt rotates, the material is released once it reaches the discharge point. These metals go through a post-sort station and into a bunker for later baling. The remaining containers continue on. Plastic containers go through infrared sorting systems that separate plastic containers by the type of material they're made of. We have a series of 3 optical sorters set to separate PET beverage containers, HDPE color and natural containers, and plastic containers numbers 2 through 7. After each optical sorter is a quality control station where sorters will pull off any material that isn't PET, HDPE, or plastics 2 through 7. Non-ferrous metals such as aluminum cans are separated using the eddy current separator by using a strong magnetic field to repel aluminum from the incoming material. After the eddy current separator, sorters will remove any contaminants or remaining recyclables from the scrap aluminum. Once the material has been sorted, we have 2 baler machines that are used to prepare the material for the market. Both machines can be adapted to be used for various types of material, and with the computer systems connected to the material bunkers, we can see when there's enough material accumulated for baling. After the material has been sorted and baled, forklifts load the material onto outbound trucks, which take the material to plastic processors, paper mills, or other end users so that the recycled material can be made into new products. We hope you enjoyed this tour of the Recyclables MRF. Be sure to check out our website for more information and photos, and stay tuned for our next MRF tour.
Well, that's it for our sponsor showcase. All right, well, thank you guys very much. And I see there are a few sponsors in the audience. We'll just acknowledge them for a minute. Hello, Teresa Bradley with Race to Zero Waste. Thank you for being a sponsor. Daniela Menendez, who's with Race to Zero Waste, will be speaking in the next session, not this session, a later on session. And then we also have Linnea from Recyclist. Welcome, Linnea. Linnea is going to stick around and be a part of the happy hour at the end of the day. So if you want to talk to Recyclist about all of their many programs, they do a great job helping jurisdictions stay on the straight and narrow with regards to compliance and outreach and education. Linnea is going to stick around if you want to talk to her. So that'll be at 4 o'clock Pacific. And then we also have Nick Balachandran in the audience. Thank you, Nick. Thank you for sponsoring. Thank you for presenting yesterday on data. Zabel is a technology company that's really helping lots of institutions and businesses in tracking their wastes and helping them to reduce and get to zero waste. So thank you, Nick. And I see Jill was here. Jill from Green Education US. Jill sponsored one of the breakout sessions yesterday, and I think she'll stick around today for a happy hour so you can talk to Green Education. We had a great engagement on what's the next step? How do you get in this business? How do you advance your career? And what are the opportunities for certification, both through Green Education US, True, Zero Waste Associates? A lot of our programming are aligned, and so we can have a great discussion about zero waste training. And speaking of zero waste training, Amanda Waddell is here as well. She is the education manager for Zero Waste USA. She'll be hosting a happy hour breakout session at the end of the day, and she will talk about the programs coming up through Zero Waste USA. And let's see, I think I saw Gary here. Gary Liss and Rick Anthony are going to hold down the fort in the Zero Waste Associates and Zero Waste International Alliance breakout room. So be sure you say hello to them. Anybody I missed who's a sponsor, raise your hand. Otherwise, thank you all very much. We could not do this without our sponsors. We could not do this without our great volunteers and our wonderful conference committee. You know who you are. And thank you very much. Oh, Nick puts a note in the chat, so check that out. And